Gareth, yeah, just talking first up about Sam Burgess. I mean, crossing codes. Famously, you've done that yourself. How hard is it going to be for Sam, do you think?
It's very difficult when you do it anyway, but to do it as a high-profile player, the trouble is the expectation is gonna be on him to be as good in rugby union straight away as he has been in rugby league, which is going to be very difficult because obviously it's a new game, but people sometimes don't really understand that. He's a talented rugby player. He's a strong human being, physically and mentally. So I'm sure he'll cope. But I just hope that people give him the chance and the time to be able to learn it. Because as much as people may think the games are similar because it's the same pitch with the same shaped ball, actually the games are very different. So I'm excited about seeing him, and I hope he beds in well. But I think he'll only bed in well if he's given the right amount of time.
Yeah, I mean, just talking about time, obviously we've got the World Cup next year. Do you think, is that too short a time frame? Obviously he's got an injury at the moment and he won't be over here for a couple more weeks. I mean, is that too short a time frame to learn the game and be in that squad?
Well, I think it also depends on where Bath want him to play and where England want him to play.
Yep.
I think the nearer the action he goes, as in nearer the scrum, as in maybe 10, 12, potentially even 13, then that takes a lot more time for him. And obviously going from playing club rugby like any game to playing international rugby, especially in a World Cup, is a huge step. So I think in most things let him take his course one at a time. And also there's people in the England team who deserve to be there, rightly so. So I think the added pressure of saying to him, you're coming over to play for Bath and England, is a bit much. He's coming over to play for Bath. Let him cement his place in Bath. And then if he's good enough to be able to push out whoever's in his position in the England team, then fair enough. But he has to earn that place in the team. He can't be given it on his reputation as a rugby league player. He has to be given it on his reputation as a rugby union player.
You made that change from union to league after you achieved everything there was in rugby union. I mean, how hard was that for you personally?
Yeah, it was definitely one of the, if not the biggest challenge in my sporting career. And it didn't I thought I was ready. I had 2 weeks. That's all I took was 2 weeks to play my first game, and I got knocked out in 11 seconds. So you can kind of say that I wasn't really ready. But for me, I played 3 weeks then until my first full 80 minutes. I had 3 weeks of training to get into it, and I managed, luckily enough, then to see that season out, and the season after that. But I realised how difficult it is and how much the games actually differ. And the difference with Sam going to rugby union is there's a lot more rules in rugby union, and rules that people take for granted because they grow up knowing these rules. So coming from a game that's kind of not dominated by rules to a game that is dominated by rules, it's not only the work on the field but also work off the field, as in understanding the rules, that is going to be difficult for him.
And just talking for a moment about Ben Flower, I mean, he's a guy you played with. Obviously, the incident in the grand final. So, what was your take on it? And I guess the ban that he got of 13 games.
Yeah, I know Benny really well, and I'm going to stand by him as a person because I know him as a person, not for 10 seconds of madness that everybody seems to be judging him on. And I watched the game, and what if he'd have been banned for a year, that still wouldn't have come anywhere close to probably the great regret he's personally having to feel for letting his team down, letting his supporters down, and letting his club down. So for me, the ban almost became irrelevant because when I seen him leaving the field and know him as I do, then he realised that his actions had probably just cost Wigan a grand final. So all that work during the year, everything that they put in, all the blood, sweat and tears to reach the grand final, to lose out on that is punishment that will last a lot longer than the 6 months of not playing. It'll last for the rest of his life. So for me, the ban almost became irrelevant because I knew, as a professional rugby player and somebody who knows Benny Flower, that he knew the moment that he sent off, he knew that that's punishment. And leaving the field in grand final in the first 2 minutes is something that you dread as a rugby player. But I hope he comes back as a stronger player, and I'm sure he'll come back as a stronger person for me.
You played for Wales in rugby league, and obviously we had the World Cup last year. I mean, did you get a chance to watch it, and what's your sort of thoughts on rugby league in Wales? How can the sport grow there? Because obviously rugby union is such a dominant code.
Yeah, rugby union is the dominant code, and again, it's because it's our national sport, and rugby's played in so many places that it's all rugby union. But I hope rugby league grows, because I do believe there's enough talent in Wales for both games. And also I think both games can learn so much from each other. So if you have a good rugby league team and a good rugby union team, there's so much that they can work together, and also maybe crossing code with players, because some players who are good at rugby union could be great at rugby league, and vice versa. So I think the more options for children especially, as well as adults, in the sporting sector, especially the rugby sector, in Wales, for me, then I feel is the better.